deep moisture and a low-level jet. By that I mean 4,000 or 5,000 feet, and that's a strong south-southwest direction, and that funnels in moisture and along with that cold air support. So there's a lot for this system here. So Russian River, Mount Tamalpais for sure, and the Santa Cruz Mountains I think will be the winner here. I'm leaning towards 2.5 to 3 because of that upslope. Take that deep moisture, you lift it, cool it, condense it. This is not a perfect setup, but this is almost a classic setup for the Santa Cruz Mountains. Heavy rain North Bay, Santa Cruz Mountains, windy, cooler, snow in the Sierra. There will be good amounts here, no doubt about it. It'll start Wednesday night and then take us into Thursday. Now, some of these amounts might be trimmed back. If Santa Rosa gets 2, that's 4 in the Russian River. But a couple of forecast models take the low more towards Southern California, which would probably cut our amounts back. We'll still get good rain out of it. 50s, 60s on your temps. And you can see the moisture coming in, so a mostly cloudy day, a lot of high clouds. But watch to the north here. This will be late Wednesday. Now watch Thursday morning. There you go, Santa Rosa. That's a lot of rain by Thursday morning. 2 inches there. Also San Rafael, Napa, the line about San Francisco, Oakland north. But Boulder Creek's in on it, and so is Santa Cruz. So I think those will be the favorable areas. It'll be a mild, mostly cloudy day today. Highs will be in the 70s, but get ready. Rain returns Wednesday night and for sure Thursday into Friday day.
All right, Steve, thank you. Time now 7:52, 10 bishops, but there's no clear favorite. Up next at 8, the key vote happening today. It could reveal whether America's leadership doubles down on culture wars or shifts toward the pastoral priorities of Pope Leo. And the countdown is on for next year's FIFA World Cup. How soccer fans around the Bay Area feel about hosting soccer's biggest stage. Welcome back to Mornings on 2. It's now 7:55. A British journalist who was detained last month by ICE agents in San Francisco will be released if he agrees to leave the country. Sami Hamdi was on a speaking tour when his visa was revoked because of allegations of supporting terrorism. Supporters say he was targeted for criticizing Israel and was held without cause. ICE says he requested to leave the country voluntarily which ends his detention that had raised some concerns about free speech. A woman in Southern California who was monitoring ICE activity in Southern California says an ICE agent pulled a gun on her. Now, she shared this video. It was taken Sunday afternoon. A Fullerton City police officer who saw what happened tried to intervene on behalf of the ICE agent who accused the woman of following him. But the police officer left after determining no crime had been committed.
It's just sad. You don't feel safe anymore. You just don't, you know? I just pray for everyone that's going through all that.
Now, this comes a week after a similar incident in Santa Ana where an ICE agent pulled out his gun as he approached a car that was monitoring ICE activity. Well, the 49ers get back on the practice field tomorrow, getting ready for next weekend's game against the Arizona Cardinals. Head coach Kyle Shanahan gave a progress report on the health of several of the injured players who missed Sunday's loss to the LA Rams. Now, hoping to give the offense a little more punch, Ricky Pearsall, the wide receiver, may be back in practice this week, and starting quarterback Brock Purdy could be a full participant. But the 49ers will not start the 21-day practice window for Brandon Ayuk. Coach Shanahan says the team is doing all it can to deal with its rash of injuries.
I think that stuff does catch up, but when you play against a good team, a really good offense like that, and you are in this situation we're in, you better play at your best. And we didn't do that at all. We also didn't do that versus Houston.
But something unusual happened between the game and Monday's news conference. For the first time this season, the 49ers did not report any new injuries. Well, the International Olympic Committee may soon change its rules about transgender athletes. The IOC says earlier reports of a looming ban on transgender women in the Olympics were not necessarily accurate, but did confirm it was under discussion. President Trump is among those who are pressuring the IOC to ban trans athletes ahead of the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. It appears the new head of the IOC is leaning towards refreshing the agency's policy to one that applies to all sports rather than deciding things sport by sport. And the excitement has been brewing in Santa Clara as the countdown begins for the 2026 FIFA World Cup next summer. Santa Clara city leaders unveiled the countdown clock at Benson Memorial Center Plaza at Santa Clara University. It marks just one of many events that are planned, ranging from concerts to cultural events, night markets, 10K runs, and watch parties as well. The city's hoping with so much going on, well, it'll bring out die-hard soccer fans and even casual fans.
Sporting events unite us wherever we come. And of course, football or soccer is, the world sport. And so this is just, our students are really excited about it, and that means our whole community is very excited about it.
Now, the World Cup countdown clock will move around over the next few months.
Common sense. That's really what it comes down to with me, common sense.
I don't think we have a hateful country. I think we have a really poorly educated country.
Heated confrontations at UC Berkeley during a Turning Point USA event. We're live on campus this morning with more on the gathering to honor its late founder and those arrested outside the conference. Immigration, ideology, and influence. How an election happening today could chart the Catholic Church's course in the Trump era. And hope for San Francisco neighborhood that lost a decades-old Safeway, the new redevelopment plan that has the area's residents and supervisors fired up.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Welcome to Mornings on 2 at 8 o'clock. Live at Santa Cruz this morning. The waves are crashing up on the shore. We got a little fog in the skies. The question is, what is this Veterans Day going to be like? We're going to find out in a moment. First, thank you for joining us. I'm Andre Sr.
That's a nice place to be, Santa Cruz, for the day. I'm Pam Cooking for Garcia today. Tuesday, November 11th, Veterans Day. Hope you have a nice day off if you get to do that. Looks like a nice, pretty mild weather. Definitely cooler than yesterday, Stephen.
Correct. A lot of high clouds take the edge off some of the high temps, but it'll be mild, it'll be dry today. Tomorrow evening, afternoon, evening is when things start to get going here, and for sure on Thursday morning. Considerable cloudiness, though, keeping lows mainly in the 50s, but had a nice sunrise there, 59 in the city, 8 above the average low for this time of year. Just a lot of high clouds, some filtered sun in there. That's the part of the reason right there. There's two systems, one coming out of the Gulf of Alaska, which will absorb into that one. Rain is on the way. It'll start late Wednesday and then for sure early Thursday morning. That's some pretty good amounts here. I think will be Mount Tamalpais, Russian River, Santa Cruz Mountains after everything's said and done. Might not be this much in the way of rainfall. It might favor areas around Santa Cruz Mountains south to L.A., believe it or not. There's some hefty totals being advertised down there as the low favors Southern California more than us. Just a cloud away, though. A lot of high clouds, filtered morning sun, considerable clouds, but still mild with 70s on the temps. Tomorrow, though, temps really start to take a tumble. All right, Sal is here. It's 8:01. I don't think his feet are on the desk because we have to go to Palo Alto.
Yeah, Palo Alto, although that crash has cleared up, and we'll get to it in just a second. I want to start with the East Bay because there's also some sort of a grass fire, West 80 near San Pablo Dam Road, so the fire department will be going out to check that. Steve mentioned Palo Alto, northbound 101 between San Antonio and Embarcadero. On the way up there, there was a crash. They moved it, but things are a little slow. But look at the rest of the South Bay commute. That looks good. We've been looking also at the toll plaza of the Bay Bridge. That is light. That is definitely light on this Veterans Day. 8:01. Let's go back to the desk.
Thank you, Sal. Police arrested at least 4 people after tensions rose during a Turning Point USA event at UC Berkeley.
KTVU's James Torres is live on the Cal campus with more on how the event honored its late founder and the protests that happened outside the forum. James?
Hey, good morning. Turning Point USA is the conservative conference that was founded and led by Charlie Kirk much before he was assassinated back in September, leading one of those conferences at a university campus in Utah. Well, the stop here in UC Berkeley was supposed to be the final one of a nationwide tour. And since then, other popular conservative names have stepped in to keep the conference going. Last night, one of those speakers included comedian and Pacifica native Rob Schneider. He spoke inside Zellerbach Hall, calling Charlie Kirk a champion of free speech. The event popular enough to bring in conservatives from all over the Bay Area and as far as Sacramento.
I came down because I'm a big fan of Charlie Kirk. He was an inspiration to my generation. And, you know, I really want to see the TPUSA continue in the direction that he wanted it to go in.
The event brought in protests as well, which at times turned violent. Our cameras caught the moment 2 men started fighting outside the event space, both detained by police. Now, protesters there say that the Turning Point USA event is not actually about promoting free speech, but instead promoting hateful rhetoric, urging its representatives not to return to Cal's campus.
We condemn the university administration's hosting of this event. It's completely, ridiculous that they're doing that.
Now, we're told at least one of those men arrested will be charged, likely will be charged with battery. About 4 total were arrested by both UC police and the city of Berkeley police. And we're also told that a group of students arrested for what appears to be vandalism before the event started. Those event organizers tell us about 2,000 people attended. We are live this morning from Berkeley. I'm James Torres, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
All right, thank you, James. There were no demonstrations inside Zellerbach Hall, despite the chaos outside. The late Charlie Kirk was originally scheduled to speak at last night's event, but that comedian from Pacifica native Rob Schneider stood in.
He really wanted to empower young people because this is your country. You are the future. And people say that all the time. No, people say that, but I mean it, and he meant it.
Now, the speakers remembered Kirk saying that he is a champion of free speech. The audience members we spoke to echoed the importance of free speech on campus.
We came to Berkeley in 1960. I know that's a long time ago. And it was a free speech campus. Well, we want people to have the choice to have free speech again. And no matter if you're right, left, middle, ground, we want everybody to be able to say their own piece.
Organizers say a strong security force inside the venue helped to make sure the event ran smoothly.
Time now is 8:05. Happening today, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops is meeting in Baltimore to elect its new president and vice president. The result of the vote will likely define the modern U.S. church and its relationship with the Trump administration. Now, half of the candidates on the ballot come from the conservative wing of the conference. They often disagree with Pope Leo, who has been an outspoken critic of President Trump and his policies involving immigration and the poor.
President Trump is planning to expand opportunities for offshore oil drilling over the next 5 years. The Trump administration's plan would open up drilling leases off the California coast and the Gulf of Mexico and Alaska. The administration proposed 6 offshore lease sales along the California coast between 2027 and 2030. The move is expected to get a lot of pushback from Californian leaders.
A bill to reopen the government now heads to the House of Representatives. The legislation cleared the U.S. Senate by a vote of 60 to 40. 8 Democratic senators broke with their party to approve the Republican proposal. Afterwards, Senate Majority Leader John Thune thanked federal employees who've been working without pay for the last month and a half.
I know that the strain of these weeks has been immense, that you all have families, rent to meet, bills to pay, car and mortgage payments. And I'm grateful for all you have done to keep the Senate running. And for all that you do every day, shutdown or no shutdown, to serve the Senate and to serve our country.
Once the Republican-controlled House approves the legislation, it'll go to the White House for President Trump's signature.
The bill reverses the mass firings of federal workers who lost their jobs during the shutdown and protects them from layoffs through January. But it does not include an extension of the affordable health care subsidies that Democrats have been fighting for. Senate Republicans promised the 8 Democrats that stood with them that there will be a vote on the subsidies in mid-December, but with no guarantee of passage. House Speaker Mike Johnson did not promise to bring the proposal to the House floor for a vote, and some Democrats, including South Bay Congressman Ro Khanna, are furious about the terms of the deal.
It looks pretty bad. You also had Gavin Newsom coming out and saying that this deal was pathetic, or this move was pathetic. It reflects on Schumer's tenure, not only what's going on now, but what happened earlier this year. And it's not just about hurting senators or hurting cats, is that Chuck Schumer also voted no on this deal. The only reason that the minority leader would vote no is because he's whipping votes, and he knows that there's going to be this Democratic crossover that's going to push it forward.
The legislation includes 3 year-long funding bills for different agencies and programs.
Once the federal government reopens, lawmakers will have a few other important tasks to take care of. Topping the list is the swearing in of Arizona Congresswoman-elect Alida Gravolga. Critics have accused House Speaker Mike Johnson of delaying her swearing in because she could be the final vote needed to release files tied to sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The Congresswoman-elect won her special election in September, but Speaker Johnson said she would not be sworn in until the shutdown ends.
Nearly 2,000 homes could be built on the site of a closed Safeway in San Francisco. A developer submitted an application to the city's planning department to build a large new apartment complex near Webster and Geary in the Western Addition neighborhood. The plan also would include a new grocery store at the base of the building to replace the Safeway that closed in February. Supporters of the project say it's important to bring somewhere to buy groceries back to the neighborhood.
This is the result of over a year of listening to the community. We heard you loud and clear. We want a wholesale grocery store to return to the Fillmore. So we worked with the mayor's office, the Office of Economic and Workforce Development, to advocate on your behalf for a wholesale grocery store to return. And this is just the first step.
According to the Chronicle, the developer is in contract to purchase the property from Safeway. It's not clear when that development could be started or completed.
Good morning. It's 8:09, and we do have a new crash that just popped up southbound 880 near Industrial. That one just came in, so we'll see what effect that has on traffic. However, it has been lighter than usual. There's been some slowing in Union City, and that's about all, so we'll see. This is a look at the Richmond Bridge. That's cleared out. We had a crash there earlier. There's never been a big backup at the toll plaza. There was a smaller backup at one point, but definitely on Veterans Day, we're getting people who are not going to work, working from home, or whatever, but definitely a different pattern today. 8:09. Let's go back to the desk.
Well, honoring our local heroes, the Bay Area ceremony is happening today to commemorate veterans.
After years of decline, U.S. college enrollment finally rising again. We'll tell you why the gains show higher education is rebounding. but facing a new test.
Jacoby & Myers has been a proud part of the California community since 1972. We've stood by our neighbors, helping hundreds of thousands of families get the justice they deserve. Whether it's fighting insurance companies or fighting for you in court, we'll stand up for you. At Jacoby & Myers, we know the stakes: your family, your health, your future. For over 50 years, we've been California's trusted name in legal care. If you've been injured, call us today at 1-800-5-MILLION, because you deserve justice.
Welcome back to Mornings on 2. It's 8:13. Some of the stories we're following for you this morning. Starting today, airlines have been ordered to increase cancellations from 4 to 6%. The major airlines like Delta have already canceled flights through tomorrow. So even if there's a vote to reopen the government, cancellations and delays will continue. Already at SFO, more than 50 flights have been canceled today. The impacts are almost entirely for flights to and from other airports on the West Coast. The U.S. Supreme Court is expected to rule on whether or not the Trump administration must start complying with lower court orders requiring the federal government to fully fund the SNAP Food Assistance Program. The program benefits 1 in every 8 Americans.
The California Supreme Court has overturned the state law that makes it a crime to knowingly file a false claim against a police officer. The state's highest court ruled yesterday the law violates freedom of speech by deterring people from reporting alleged police misconduct. Then Republican Governor Pete Wilson signed the bill into law in 1995. California's police groups and other supporters of the legislation said it was needed to protect law enforcement officers from unfounded accusations.
A positive outlook for colleges and universities across the country. Preliminary data from the National Student Clearinghouse shows a third year of enrollment growth this fall. Now, while undergraduate enrollment saw growth across all sectors, community colleges and certificate programs added the most students to their rolls. Data from the International Trade Administration showed student visas dropped 19% in August. That's reaching a 4-year low.
Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a law to expand direct admission to 16 CSU campuses. Last year, a pilot was tested in Riverside County, where public high school students who met the CSU requirements were granted automatic admission to one of 16 campuses. Soon, that will be expanded to public high schools across the state. The system's most selective campus, Cal Poly, will not participate. At least 15 states are doing the same thing, including New York, Oregon, Texas, and Washington.
The Christmas tree at San Francisco's Union Square is now up and ready for the holidays.
That's a major sign for many in the Bay Area that the holiday season is finally here.
3, 2, 1, happy holidays!
Well, just a week ago, the mayor announced Macy's has partnered with a developer to explore new uses for the property. It's been a year since Macy's announced it was closing the location, and now leaders are focusing on making Union Square an experience with fun events, not just a shopping destination.
In-person experience is what it's all about. You have the ice skating rink, you have the great tree that's being lit tonight, you have all of the wonderful experiences inside the store, and ultimately that's really what we're trying to drive home.
Well, new pop-ups are opening downtown and more companies are leasing office space. The mayor's office says crime in Union Square is down 40%, and workers and shoppers say they notice a difference.
It's been a long time since I've worked down here during the holidays, but I know that there's been foot traffic and people want to come down and see the tree lighting and the winter walk.
Streets are a lot cleaner. Union Square seems safer. The police presence is much appreciated. It's calmer. It's nice.
The ice skating rink is open now until January 19th and is hosting a number of events, including a silent skate, a polar bear skate where you dress up and then lace up some skates, and even learn to skate events for people just looking to try it out, you know, if you want to learn how to get on the ice. This morning, you're asking, when do you start decorating for the holidays around your house? Right after Halloween is one option. The other is after Thanksgiving, the first week of December, or mid-December or later. Right now, 68% of you say after Thanksgiving, 12% of you say right after Halloween, 11% say the first week of December, and 9% say mid-December or later. Just scan the QR code on the top right-hand corner of your screen and go to KTVU.com/vote. Let us know what you think.
So I was driving in San Bruno the other day, and there are two houses near Skyline College that are all decked out for the holidays. I'm all, you go. Let's go out and take a look at the commute here at the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza. Can you call it a commute? Not really. It's Veterans Day. Government offices are closed, federal government anyway, and most state and local offices. Banks are closed, and a lot of people are driving maybe to commemorations or celebrations, but they're not driving to work. It looks like it anyway in big numbers. San Mateo Bridge looks pretty good, and you can see the East Bay commute is beginning to get much better. 8:18. Let's bring Steve back in here. Steve, I enjoy when you come out and talk football with me.
We were talking Cal football.
Yes, sir. I like that.
Yes, me too. All right, we'll get to it here. We have a lot of high clouds over us. It won't be as warm today. It will still be on the mild side, 70s. These are just leading edge system to the west-southwest. The city, I don't think, got below 59. That's 8 above the normal low for this time of year, so that's way above. Just a lot of high clouds and 50s on the temps. 70, 59 for the city. 65, 51 is average. 79, the record high, 1930. 42, it's actually should say 1911. 1911, and almost an inch of rain fell on this date in 1944. You can see the higher clouds just kind of drifting across, and they'll give us a mostly cloudy day. But we're waiting on the rain. That won't be here for a while. We still have a slight offshore breeze, so that'll allow temps to warm up here, even though I don't think we'll get the 80s like we saw yesterday. There's too much cloud cover. And the system coming out of the Gulf of Alaska is going to give us a dramatic change, but not until Wednesday night into Thursday. It'll have a strong jet stream. There'll be rapid development, deep moisture, and a strong low-level jet. By that I mean at 5,000 feet, along with cold air support. I'm thinking the Santa Cruz Mountains are going to end up being the winner here by the time we get to late Thursday, Friday. I think 2.5 to 3, just because of the setup. Southwest flow, deep moisture, strong jet stream. Not that Mount Tamalpais around there or the Russian River won't get their fair share, but this looks like a setup, I think, a little more south than north. But everyone will get in on some much cooler temps with snow up in the mountains. In fact, it's looking pretty good. Not only this system, but another one coming in on Monday might even add a lot more than that. So get ready. Rain is on the way. It just won't be today. 50s, 60s on your temps. Look for highs today to be in the 70s, and then everything starts to come together for tomorrow with rain beginning. Wednesday afternoon, evening to the north, and then overnight Wednesday into Thursday, and probably not really ending until early Friday, you guys.
All right, thanks, Steve. Caltrans going high-tech to fight crime. What we know about the robots patrolling its stations.
And it is closer to winter than summer at this point, but we are already thinking about next year's zip trips. This year, we are doing something different. Instead of us picking the cities, we want to hear from you. Tell us why your hometown should be our next zip trip destination. Just scan that QR code right in the middle of your screen. Send us a few photos. Tell us all about your city, and we can choose it for next year's zip trip lineup.
Well, today's Veterans Day, a time to honor those who defended our country. There are many events to mark the occasion in the Bay Area. Here's just a partial list. In El Cerrito, the city's Lion Club is holding an annual flag placement ceremony at 8:30 a.m. at Sunset View Cemetery. The Marin County United Veterans Council will lead the annual Marin County Veterans Day ceremony at the fairgrounds starting at 9:30 a.m. The USS Hornet will hold its Veterans Day commemoration, which includes a wreath-laying ceremony at 11 in the morning. Federal and state government offices are closed because of this holiday. The U.S. Postal Service will not be delivering or picking up mail. Most schools will be closed, as are many banks, but most stores and markets will be open. BART and AC Transit are on normal schedules, but Muni is on a reduced holiday schedule.
In today's dollars and cents, one of the biggest banks in Japan sold off its investment in Santa Clara-based NVIDIA. SoftBank reports it sold its shares in NVIDIA for nearly $6 billion. The bank's chief financial officer says it wants to provide diversified investments for its customers. NVIDIA stock dropped a little bit when that opening bell rang this morning. And by the way, a local company rang that bell. Mountain View-based Alto Neuroscience specializes in neurobiology research and drugs designed to target core brain processes in people suffering from a range of neuropsychiatric conditions. So they are doing some good work to help people there. Taking a live look at the numbers now, it's been a mixed picture throughout the morning. Since that bell rang, the Dow Jones shot up a little bit, up about 0.5%, 245 points or so. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ headed lower. Right now, the NASDAQ's dropping about 0.5%, 120 points as the tech stocks are down today. Facebook groups where people are looking to get rid of things like furniture can no longer be labeled Buy Nothing. That's because of a trademark infringement request. The people behind the original Buy Nothing project say a San Francisco Facebook group with more than 116,000 members stole their idea. They say it is hurting their revenue through the official Buy Nothing app. The Facebook group is among the sites removed due to an automated takedown request for that trademark issue.
At 8:26, Caltrans now has 2 new robot dogs it says will help keep people safe. The robot dogs from Boston Dynamics use sensors and cameras to move around. Caltrans mainly uses them to inspect bridges and get to areas unsafe for humans. The footage recorded by the robot dogs can also be used to help police identify people suspected of crimes. Snapchat is offering a new exclusive feature for paying subscribers. The company says its 2D Bitmojis can be customized to look like you. Right now, the 3D avatars are the standard, but if you want a more nostalgic cartoon style, you can get it with the Snapchat Plus subscription. It's the only mainstream social media platform, we're told, that offers this feature.
With a possible government opening in sight, Democrats are racing to save the Affordable Care Act before premiums spike. Why Republicans are pushing a new health care playbook.
3 candidates, 1 seat. We hear from the finalists hoping to lead San Mateo County Sheriff's Department before the board makes its decision.
We tried to reschedule for last night to get back to New Jersey, but it wasn't going to work for us. So we had to grab a hotel and, stay in the hotel last night. And here we are this morning.
The end of the government shutdown is finally in sight, but air travelers should still prepare for delays and cancellations. And dragged from courtrooms and held for days, we hear from Bay Area lawmakers making their case before a federal judge to help immigrants detained after their court hearings.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Thank you for joining us here on Mornings on 2. Gossi is off today. I'm Pam Cook.
I'm Andre Sr. Today is Tuesday, November 11th. Let's find out why it's so cloudy outside right now along the Oakland estuary. Steve Paulson's up with us this morning.
Because there's clouds coming in from the southwest.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Steve.
High clouds, high clouds. We'll take a look at yesterday because may not see these again for a while. These being 80s on the high temps. San Martin and Morgan Hill were both 84. Oakland, downtown, 82. Livermore was 82. That says Napa underneath that, 80. Vallejo in there, San Jose, Redwood City, and Novato, all checked in at 80. That's the source of your higher clouds, maybe a little filtered sun, but there's a lot of high clouds coming in. 50s on the temps here. We're kind of stuck. 50s. City did not get below 59. That's 8 above the average low for this time of year. This is just the first inning here. We're waiting for the developing system to come in from the Gulf of Alaska to absorb all this and develop and then bring rain in Wednesday night, Thursday morning for sure. Already 2 inches being advertised for Santa Rosa by 8 a.m. with over an inch at Boulder Creek. I think Santa Cruz, Russian River, around Marin County is going to take honors here. We'll see. Some of the heavier snow totals are actually being favored more towards Mammoth South, more so than Tahoe. So I think these numbers will change by the time we get to tomorrow. Just a cloud away. Filtered morning sun, but a lot of high clouds. Mild, though. Temps will still be in the 70s. One more day. Then tomorrow, big changes are on the way. All right, Sal is here. 8:31. Good to go. Something new?
Yeah, I think we're good to go. I've been looking around. Some of the slowdowns that we had, even some of the minor ones have now gone. It is Veterans Day, and a lot of people are not going to work today, and you can tell by looking at the freeways. It's absolutely light. When you get to the Bay Bridge, there's no backup. It is moving well into San Francisco. Now, at 8:31, let's go back to the desk.
Thank you, Sal. The end of the government shutdown is now in sight, but the issues impacting air travel, far from over.
Yeah, nationwide, the number of delayed flights is climbing by the hour. At last check, there were 10,300 delays and 1,500 cancellations. KTVU's Devin Truby joins us live from SFO. And Devin, how are the numbers there now?
Yeah, good morning, Andre. The numbers here at SFO starting to really stabilize for the morning. What we're seeing is about 56 canceled flights, 27 delayed flights right now. Average delay time that SFO is telling us is only about 10 minutes. So I'd say that's pretty good in comparison to yesterday where it was 30 minutes. Now, it's been 6 days since the FAA ordered a 10% reduction in air traffic across 40 airports, including SFO and Oakland International. Today's airline were supposed to increase those cancellations to 6% at the 40 major airports. Airlines like Delta saying they'll continue with the planned reductions through Wednesday. The Secretary of Transportation has previously said the reductions will not end until the FAA is back in a good place. So for those traveling for work, they feel like they have no choice but to travel and just see what happens.
Yeah, I'm concerned about being delayed out of Orlando tomorrow. I don't like reading about safety concerns with fewer air traffic controllers, but I understand the, plight.
There are more planned reductions in place, 8% Thursday and 10% on Friday. The Secretary of Transportation has previously warned reductions could hit up to 20%, so we will have to see if those get canceled once the government does reopen. But all of this is happening, as I'm sure a lot of folks will be trying to get home this evening if they decided to extend their weekend for Veterans Day. And we are just about 2 weeks out from when people start to travel for the Thanksgiving holiday as well. Reporting live at SFO, Devin Truby, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Devin, thank you for that update. Well, as the year-end deadline for Affordable Care Act subsidies approaches, Congress is locked in a high-stakes debate over the future of health care. Senate Democrats are pushing to extend the subsidies that help millions of Americans afford coverage, while many Republicans are exploring alternative health care solutions, including new health savings accounts. Joining us now to talk about all this, Glenn Melnick, Health Economics and Finance Professor at the University of Southern California. Professor, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
What is on the line now that we're stuck in this wait and see period? This has been such a sticking point for Democrats. Now we have this agreement on the table. What's on the line for patients and for insurance companies?
Well, this is part of a much bigger growing financial crisis in healthcare and affordability. So the Affordable Care Act made available subsidies for families to purchase health insurance if they were not covered by other programs. the majority of Californian families are covered by their employer's health insurance, so they get it through work. But there are others who don't qualify for either Medi-Cal or Medicaid or Medicare, and they have to buy it themselves. And the Affordable Care Act made it more affordable for them to do that by providing subsidies to people depending on their family income.
I mean, it's such a big problem because I know people starting out, you turn 26, you're off your parents' health insurance plan, and you may not be fully employed, or people are partial, they have part-time employment, or they're freelance workers. So, I mean, it's a big concern. Many people, I think it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy filings in the United States. They don't have these issues in other countries. So what happens if this fails?
Well, right now, there is no language that's going to fix the problem. And so what happens is the subsidies will be pulled away, and folks who were buying, about 1.5 million Californians were buying health care coverage through the exchange, through the Covered California. They were getting a subsidy depending on their family income level. Those subsidies will be taken away. Those folks, if they wanted to buy that same coverage again, are facing almost on average 100% increase in premium. It would be a huge impact.
Yeah, certainly. And many people going without health care. And then, of course, that brings up so many other health concerns and issues. Have you had a chance to look into maybe what some of the Republicans are proposing in terms of a health savings account, and what your thoughts are on something like that?
Yeah. I mean, I monitor health policy. There have been there's very little actual serious thought been given, to alternatives to what we have now. There's talking points. So, for example, there was a recent talking point. I think the president said, well, I'm going to give $2,000 to people directly so they can help buy their insurance. Well, that sounds good to families that are in trouble paying their bills. That sounds great, but what they're going to do is they're going to use that to pay bills. They're not going to buy insurance. And so that's not going to really help the insurance problem. Health savings accounts are, generally are beneficial for higher income families because you get a tax break as a result of that. Any kind of coverage helps. Let me just tell your viewers, it's really important. If they lose these subsidies, they should find a catastrophic plan that covers them if the expenses get really high, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Those premiums are much lower, and it protects them from long-term financial catastrophe. Because as you mentioned, a lot of families are in medical debt. Some of those families didn't have coverage. Their kid had a bicycle accident. Next thing you knew, emergency room, ambulance, they get a $50,000 bill. And the hospitals no longer write it off.
Yeah.
So they should not go without coverage.
Okay, it's a good reminder that there are these catastrophic policies that you can have. They're not covering your basics. And before we let you go, we've seen counties, cities, companies, foundations stepping in to help people with these SNAP benefits. Is it possible? Will we see any of these entities, or maybe even some of the healthcare providers like Kaiser stepping in to help people if these subsidies go away?
There may be a little bit on the margin, but this is part of a much bigger financial restructuring, really, of our healthcare system. So even folks who are covered through work, their premiums are going up 10% this year. All right, and Medicaid, Medi-Cal, which covers low-income families, about 1 out of 5 families, that's being cut by the big beautiful bill. So there's going to be financial crisis in healthcare in California if this bill stays in place the way it is.
Yeah, I think this is what a lot of people have been fearing, and we're going to see this all play out. Professor Glenn Melnick at the University of Southern California, thank you so much for your insight, for joining us.
Sure. Wish I had better news.
I do too. We do too.
Our time now is 8:39. San Mateo supervisors scheduled to pick the county's new sheriff tomorrow. Last night, the board hosted a public forum featuring the 3 finalists for the job. There were Brian Wynn Travis, chief of police for the Solano Community College District. That's Kenneth Binder is the other one, who is the interim chief of police at Gilroy, and David Lazar, a former assistant chief with the San Francisco Police Department. All 3 made their case on why they should be the county's next sheriff.
To now be considered for sheriff in the very county where my American journey began is profoundly meaningful, both a homecoming and a fulfillment of purpose.
My 27-year career in law enforcement has given me both the depth and the breadth of experience that matches what's needed right here in San Mateo County for the Sheriff's Office.
What is needed now is a sheriff who is a proven and successful leader, one that is a good communicator, a good collaborator, one that can bring trust and transparency and honesty to this organization.
Many people attending the candidate forum say it provided valuable insight into these three finalists.
Obviously, I don't have any control of who gets elected, but I'm going to tell you one thing, that we're going to be watching them very closely.
The supervisors will meet tomorrow to pick a replacement for ousted Sheriff Christina Corpus. The new sheriff will serve until January of 2029. Well, the countdown is on for next year's FIFA World Cup. We hear from soccer fans across the Bay Area about how they're feeling about hosting the soccer's biggest stage. Well, a critical legal battle over ICE detention practices in the Bay Area. Lawyers say immigrants detained after court hearings have been held for days in rooms without basic needs like showers, blankets, or medical care. Joining us now is Marissa Hatton, senior staff attorney with the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights of the San Francisco Bay Area. She's part of the legal team asking a federal judge to stop ICE from using these short-term holding rooms for long-term detention. Marissa, you actually were asking the judge for two things yesterday. Your organization was to certify this as a class action lawsuit, and of course the other is one we just mentioned, that the federal government improve the conditions at these facilities. Tell us what happened in court yesterday.
Sure. So like you said, we were in court yesterday trying to get a class certified because the number of people being put through these what are meant to be short-term detention cells is too high for people to be bringing individual lawsuits. There's dozens of people being arrested and going through the holding cells at 630 Sansom, including children as young as 3 years old. So we're seeking to have this certified as a class action so that all people who are there now and will be detained there in the future are covered by our lawsuit. The other piece of this was the abhorrent conditions that are there. We're asking for the court to preliminarily enjoin ICE, which means to issue an injunction before the lawsuit has even been litigated because it's such an emergency there. People are sleeping on the floor, they're in crowded rooms, they don't shower for days. Most concerningly are the medical issues there. There's no medical intake, there's no provision of medical care at all, which has led to some pretty significant problems for folks.
All right, so specifically here, you say these rooms are only supposed to be temporary holding centers. However, ICE has started using them for long-term holding. So in other words, you're supposed to go there, I guess it's, when you go to a general holding cell, even in a jail, you hold someone in that jail for just a few hours maybe, and then move them to a permanent holding where they'll be there a lot longer. Is that my understanding of what is happening here?
That's right. So since 2011, the limitation on these cells has been no more than 12 hours. They were originally for folks who were detained and coming to immigration court. So they were already incarcerated and they just needed a place to be held for the pendency of their hearing. They're also used to process people for transfer. But for over 10 years, the rule has been you cannot hold people longer than 12 hours in these rooms, and that the rooms have to be emptied out at the end of the day. So it was never intended for people to sleep in these rooms or really spend more than a couple hours. However, ICE waived that requirement in June because it doesn't have enough space to hold all the people that it's arresting. And it said you can now hold people in these kind of makeshift cells for up to 3 days. And we know that folks are spending a lot longer than that in San Francisco, sometimes up to 3 or 4 days, in other parts of the country, up to 6 days or a week.
What is ICE saying about this? Because according to what is being alleged here is that these folks are being held in these facilities, in these holding rooms with no access to warm blankets, clean clothes, medical care, hygiene, and as you said, medication. What does ICE say as far as they're arguing against this?
So their argument is essentially quite general, that we submitted, declarations and evidence from 16 people who had been in detention there. I submitted one declaration from someone who said, we have some general policies about medicine, we have general policies about hygiene. They haven't actually said that they're providing those things to people, despite having ample opportunity to say that. They're basically saying, we have policies and everything is all good. One thing that I think is quite shocking about their argument is they claim that what happened to our client, Mr. Hernandez-Torres, was an example of their medical intake process working the way it should. What happened to him was, as he was being arrested and fingerprinted, he told them, I came to court today, I thought I was going home, I don't have my blood pressure medication. Over the course of that night and the next day, he begged over and over for his blood pressure medication. He ended up seeing a lawyer the next day who said, you look really bad. And the lawyer got ICE to convinced ICE to send him to the hospital, where he went and was having symptoms of a stroke. He spent 8 days in the hospital, and the doctors think he might have permanent brain damage. And that is what ICE is saying is an example of their intake process working as it should.
All right. Well, just a few moments left here. What happened in court yesterday? The judge did not make a decision, but when could we expect a decision on both of the things that you're requesting?
I think that decision will come soon. You never know what a judge means when they say soon, but it seemed that the judge really understood that this is a crisis. Several other courts in New York and in Illinois have already enjoined the practices at similar ICE hold rooms. And so we expect to see both on the class certification and on the conditions a decision coming out pretty soon here.
All right. December 9th is the next court hearing, so we'll see what happens with that. Marissa Hatton with the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights of the San Francisco Bay Area. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Well, some of the other stories we are following for you this morning. Police arrested at least 4 protesters on the UC Berkeley campus last night outside an event sponsored by the conservative political group founded by the late Charlie Kirk. Police in riot gear moved in following several fights between opponents and supporters. There were no protests inside the event. The nation's highest court is expected to decide today about whether or not the Trump administration must fully fund SNAP benefits. Lower courts, including an appeals court, ruled against the administration. The White House is asking the justices to block states from providing full benefits, arguing the money may be needed elsewhere. The administration cut off funding after October due to the government shutdown. 42 million Americans are enrolled in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. People across California should now see their November funds in their accounts, and some local counties are doing more to make sure people can afford food. Contra Costa County supervisors approved $21 million in funding to help people who lost their CalFresh benefits, and there are grocery debit cards as a backup.
Basically, if someone can't access their federal benefits, and if the only way they can get a benefit, the county debit card is an option. I think we don't want to duplicate the benefits, federal and county.
County officials say for those who have not received funding, they can go to one of 4 social services offices in the county to get the card.
It's 8:50 and it's Veterans Day. We've had definitely lighter conditions, and apparently many people don't have to go to work today. It's been like this at the Bay Bridge for most of the morning. Not really a typical commute, much lighter than usual. This is a look at the San Mateo Bridge, and we also see some of these other commutes in full play here. You can see 880 South looks good, and so does 680. So the commutes have looked good on this Veterans Day. It's 8:50. What about today's weather? It's cloudy out there.
It is a lot of high clouds here. That'll take, I think, some of the high temps from the 80s yesterday, more into the mid-70s. If we get a few sun breaks, maybe some upper 70s, but just considerable cloudiness moving through. Temps, though, you can see the high clouds made for a nice sunrise. A lot of 50s here, 50 to 59. The city did not get below 59, which is 8 above the average for this time of year. A lot of cloud cover today, so look for a mostly cloudy day. Rain will begin late Wednesday, overnight into early Thursday, and already these are some decent amounts. I mean, 2 inches in Santa Cruz by Thursday morning. Not only there, San Rafael, and then, of course, down towards the Boulder Creek, Santa Cruz Mountains area. I think they'll take the brunt of this, the usual suspects, as we say. But this system has a lot of cold air, rapid development, and it's going to develop into a big system. The Santa Cruz Mountains is my focus, not the Russian River and Mount Tamalpais areas, Kentfield. Those areas can't get some whopper totals, but I think the winter, after everything's said and done, will be the Santa Cruz Mountains, just because of the setup, the deep moisture and the strong low-level jet that will be funneling a lot of that moisture into the mountains. Still, though, we're going to, I mean, these are some big totals here. There's another system coming in Monday into Tuesday. I think the heaviest snow will be Central Sierra, more so than Tahoe. It just kind of looks that way, but I mean, if the city gets 3 1/3, we'll declare victory. Same for Sacramento. If that happens, there's going to be some issues, marginal flood risk issues if we get that much rain. Look at Redding. My goodness, I mean, that's just Ukiah. That's a lot of rain the next 7 days. We'll see. Just a cloud away, though, today. Filtered morning sun. There's a few breaks, but there's a lot of high clouds. Temperatures will be in the 70s. As they say, go time will start tomorrow, you guys.
A growing number of Americans say the reason for their next trip isn't the view, it's actually the menu. When you join us on the 9, we'll show you what's driving a new wave of foodcations.
Foodcations.
Yeah.
I'm in. Count me in. All right, KTVU's annual One Warm Coat Drive begins today. You can help. Make sure people in need stay warm this summer. If you are able to donate a new or gently worn coat, scan that QR code right there in the middle of your screen, or you can head to ktvu.com for a list of participating drop-off locations. The One Warm Coat Drive runs until December 14th. Welcome back to Mornings on 2. Excitement is brewing in Santa Clara as the countdown begins for the 2026 FIFA World Cup next summer. Santa Clara city leaders unveiled the countdown clock at Benson Memorial Center Plaza at Santa Clara University campus. It marks just one of many events planned, ranging from concerts to cultural events, night markets, 10K runs, and watch parties. The city is hoping, with so much going on, they are hoping it brings out diehard soccer fans and casual ones.
Sporting events unite us wherever we come. And of course, football or soccer is, the world sport. And so this is just, our students are really excited about it, and that means our whole community is very excited about it.
The World Cup countdown clock will move around over the next few months. One of its next stops will be at Santa Clara's tree lighting ceremony December 5th, which falls on the same day. The city will find out which World Cup teams it will be hosting next summer.
The International Olympic Committee could soon change its rules on transgender athletes. The IOC says earlier reports of deciding things sport by sport.
A British journalist who was detained last month by ICE in San Francisco will be released if he agrees to leave the U.S. Sami Hamdi was on a speaking tour when his visa was revoked amid allegations of supporting terrorism. Supporters say he was targeted for criticizing Israel and held without cause. ICE says he requested to leave the country voluntarily, which ends his detention that had raised free speech concerns.
Some Senate Democrats appear confident they will be able to strike a bipartisan deal to extend Obamacare subsidies in the coming week, but Senate Republicans may have their own plans involving the main issue of the government shutdown. Politico reports GOP leaders appear to be pivoting from the debate around Affordable Care Act tax credits to developing their own health policy agenda, and they feel they will have the strong support of the president when they unveil that Republican plan.
Mayor Lurie's choice for San Francisco's newest supervisor is already facing criticism. The mayor appointed Bea Alcaraz to represent the Sunset following the recall of Joel Engardio. Alcaraz described herself as a former pet store owner and teacher, but the woman who took over the pet store back in May told the Chronicle Alcaraz left the store in disarray, including a mouse infestation and several dead animals. Now, she argues the mayor did not do his due diligence while choosing Alcaraz. The mayor's office said he stands by his choice.
San Francisco's top business leaders could see their taxes go up if 2 ballot measures pass during next year's election. Labor unions are set to start collecting signatures to place the Overpaid CEO Act on the June 2026 ballot. Supervisors also put their own tax measure on the November ballot. Voters would decide if they want to undo changes to, quote, overpaid executive tax that voters approved last year. Organizers say the increases could generate hundreds of millions of dollars for the general fund. All right, you're watching Mornings on 2. Mornings on 2 the 9 starts in just 60 seconds. We'll leave you with a live look right now at Santa Cruz.